Hello, my name is Eli Murdoch, and I'll be showing off my task manager program, which is designed to be a way to conveniently store tasks that you may have, and it keeps track of them based on the deadlines and whatnot. So if we load it up here, this small little GUI pops up on the right side of the window, which shows this table right here of your current tasks, such as number 1 is just the example, but then it shows homework, wash dishes, go to court, call grandma, call dad, and it organizes them by the due date. And if they don't have one and they're just null, then it organizes them by the task ID, which is the order that they're entered into the database. So then if we wanted to add another one into the system, then we could either manually give it a task ID, or we can just leave it blank and then it'll enter using one higher than the highest one in there, so it'll use number 10. And we can give it a title, such as do laundry, and we can say whites, and that'll take about an hour and a half, 90 minutes, and then the deadline for that we can set to 2023-07, and we'll say 21. So if we add that task into the database, then it's right there. Then we could add another one, say buy salt, into the database, where we need to go to Walmart for that one. Length of that one will be only about a half hour, and the due date for that one we don't need one, so we can just add a task like that. We don't actually need any of the variables besides just the title, what it's going to be, in order to create this. So let's say we wanted to grill some burgers, and we don't know when we want to do that, we just want to do it sometime. Then we can add it into the database, it gives it a new ID, and this takes up to 10 different items in it. Any farther than that and they won't show up. So then it'll show the 10 most pertinent things with the closest deadline. And if we wanted to change one of these tasks in here, then what we could do is we could enter in the ID. Let's say we wanted to change ID number 4, call grandma, then we can say tell her about school, and we can update that task, and it'll add a description in there. Or we wanted to change, say, the length of number 7, then we could change this to 120 and update it, so now there's a length in there as well. If we wanted to delete a task, let's say we already called dad, then we can go in there, hit task number 5, and delete that from the database. And we already grilled burgers, so we're going to do that, delete that from the database. We don't need the example one anymore, so we can delete that one from the database, and all the rest move up, and continue to auto sort and auto update every time we hit any of these buttons right here. So then how this system was built was with this program right over here. We've got 278 lines of code, and it uses Tkinter in Python and SQLite3. So then this right here sets the GUI variables, so it just creates that basic window that's going to be that nice green color. And then this is starting the layout of the window. So each of these is a different section in grid where it creates a bunch of different frames to place all the items in so that it looks nice when we load it up. So you've got one section here, one section here, one here, one here, one here, one here, so then we can center them in each of those different sections on the screen. So then the start screen is the one that actually creates all of these different little widgets right here and binds these to the different functions. It'll be running SQL code, and it also keeps track of these variables. So these different buttons right here, I believe, such as this one, will keep track of that SQL, or will keep track of the data that you put in here to put into SQL later. So then farther down we have initializing the table. So this creates the table if it does not already exist. So if we delete that database right here, the tasks database, then we can delete that, and then we can run it again on a fresh computer, and no problem, the tasks are deleted because we deleted the database, but it has the example task loaded up and it's ready to go, no issues whatsoever. So then once it creates a database, then it fetches the table and displays it, so this will also update the table whenever anything changes in it. Then this right here is the function to add an entry into the database. So if you give it an ID, then it'll run this one right here to enter with an ID, and if you don't, then it'll enter this one so that it auto increments with an ID. This grabs all the different variables from the different functions which were defined, or from the different little icons and widgets on the screen which were defined up above. And then it closes the database connection and it updates the table. So in the update entry one is fairly similar, where whichever variables are in there, which it checks on each line right here, then it'll update those sections in the database, so just that particular item, and then closes the connection and updates the table again. This one, same thing, connects to the database. This one's much simpler. It just needs to delete with the task ID, and then it destroys all those labels and updates the table again. So then running the whole program overall, we just start the screen, which creates the GUI. We initialize the table, so we create the database in the table, and then we fetch and update the table, and then we have the root main loop to keep it running the whole time that the user wants to enter stuff into the database until they close it, at which point all the data is saved for the next session that they run. So that's been the SQL and Python Tkinter database that I created with this handy little app, and I hope that you find this useful. There will be a link to the GitHub down below if you want to see the code that I used for it, but thank you for watching, and this has been Eli Murdoch. It's been a pleasure to guide you through this. Thank you.